What is up, everybody? Dan, Binder Boneyard, coming at you from the office. It is a dreary November Sunday. I have been out for a while. I'm sorry for the lack of content, at least on this platform. It's just been a busy last couple of months. The weekends are generally the time when I'm doing all of the stuff that is required of the business, but I need to do it on my own. With Steve being gone now, that means that I've got to stay in the shop more to oversee the new guys and just make sure stuff keeps moving along. So that means weekends is when I do deliveries and parts runs and hauling scrap and all of the stuff that, can't do during the week, or I shouldn't do during the week. So I have kind of, sloughed off on my podcasts. So I'm sorry, all you guys that donate. I apologize. So I'm going to try to get back on the podcast wagon. I know they're only a half hour, which, sometimes it's hard to sit down, get everything quiet, get prepped. I know I don't do any prep. I don't make notes or, generally I don't do anything before these. So it's normally just off the top of my head. But sometimes it's, I'll spend a few days just kind of gathering my thoughts to make the podcast. So it's just one of those things where, it might only physically take me half an hour to sit down and do it, but there's other things involved and it just doesn't happen sometimes. So I am sorry for the delays. I know a lot of people out there enjoy these. There's also a lot of people out there that listen to them just so they have something to trash talk me about. So either way, your listenership pushes the needle in the right direction, and I appreciate all of it. I'm just gonna kind of go over the last month or so, drop some pearls in here, and go over a few things. The other thing is, if you do want to donate on Patreon, your donations are happily accepted. Head over to Patreon and look for Binder Boneyard Podcast, and throw down your subscription donation. Also, Instagram, I do have a subscription feature over there where you get some behind the scenes content. You get some shop walkarounds. I go over technical service bulletins. I do a lot of the stuff that, it provides a lot of value to people. And a lot of my followers on Instagram aren't stoked about, because they just want to see black and white pictures of old trucks or whatever. And so, and also when you're a subscriber, you get kind of, I don't want to say direct access. That sounds cheesy, but, you get a little bit more consideration when you're asking technical questions or things like that, because I get so many messages, it's hard to weed them out. And so when you are a subscriber, you get put on the top of the stack. So that's another bonus to that. So I appreciate everybody doing that, and I'm super grateful for that. So as you guys, if you've been listening for any length of time, you know that Josie and I were on a diet. Josie was on the diet for health stuff. I was doing it to be supportive. I ended up losing a ton of weight. I went from about 180, I think 182 was my heaviest. And I made it all the way down to about 148. So almost 40 pounds of loss. Which I wasn't just fat, I lost some strength in there as well. And that was right about, it's almost a year now. We started that in February. Here it is November. So, it's been a while. So I've been able to maintain the diet, which is good. I recommend everybody look into your intake. Your health is so important. You want to use these trucks, and you want to be able to work on them, and you want to be a good steward of the international community. And the last thing you want to be is the big fat guy that's huffing and puffing at the shows, or you will need to go do something and you can't get underneath your truck because your belly's too big or whatever. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not getting personal. I'm just saying it's things to consider. Cut out some sugar, cut out some soda, knock down the candy, whatever. It goes a long ways. Trust me. I'm only 45, 44. I'll be 45 soon. But it made a noticeable difference in my energy levels, my ability to get stuff done, even things like focus and concentration. It's just crazy what your intake does for your health. So I have been on that kick. And then I also went back into jiu-jitsu. I took about a year off, almost a year off from doing jiu-jitsu. I've been doing that for about 10 years, 11 years now. I'm not that good at it. I've been taking a lot of breaks over the years, so you kind of lose a little bit and then you get it back and whatever. So I'm not that high of a belt. I know guys, I started with guys that are now black belts. They've 9 years, 10 years to get a black belt in jiu-jitsu normally. I could have been a black belt if I had stuck with it. But anyway, back on the mats, going in the morning early before work. That way I don't lose work time. And so that's been really good for me, doing the jiu-jitsu. And then on the days I'm not doing jits, I do some calisthenic workouts, the basics, push-ups, sit-ups, body weight squats, pistol squats, Turkish get-ups, that kind of stuff. So now I'm back up to 155, 157 now. Definitely got some strength back. I'm getting stronger and also more capable. We went on some hikes the other day. No problem whatsoever. 25-pound pack. Did 6 miles in 2 hours. It's good. So I recommend, again, guys, consider that sort of stuff. I know you're like, oh, what's that have to do with scouts, or shut up and talk about D-series pickups. But really, you can't work on shit if you are hurt. If you are down, if you are unable, what good is having scouts in the driveway if you aren't physically strong enough to get out there and get after it? So your health is important. So please take care of yourself. Delivered a couple of rigs while I was on hiatus from this show. Hauled a scout to Minneapolis, Minnesota. That was a good drive. The Screaming Eagle did great. I really love the black truck so much. It's really, the experiment has proved itself, and averaged. I stopped tracking my mileage loaded. It varies so much. It can be anywhere from 10 to 13 depending on weather and terrain and the weight of the truck and wind drag and all that. But coming back when I was empty, rarely do I make an empty trip. And so I thought it was notable to check the mileage. So I fueled up. I can't remember. Just as I crossed from Minnesota into North Dakota, I fueled up there. And then I didn't fuel up again until the Montana-North Dakota border. And that ended up being, I was averaging about 70 miles an hour, relatively flat. North Dakota is painfully flat. Not much of a wind. I was surprised because normally North Dakota's howling. So I got kind of lucky with just a breeze. And then again, empty trailer. So I was still pulling 3,500 pounds of trailer, but empty otherwise. And I got just about 15 miles a gallon, which is pretty good in my opinion. Truck weighs 8,000 pounds. It is shaped like a brick. So, the DT360 has 0 performance mods. It is bone stock, and Allison, nothing fancy about it. Just lockup converter, overdrive, and so did great in that respect. I am looking forward to building another one. I have a long bed Travelette chassis. I have an excellent Travelette cab. I have a decent long bed that we're going to put on there. And we're going to build this one more traditionally. It will be 360 and a 6-speed Allison. It will have Super Duty axles, and the radiator will be in the front. It will have, like I say, more traditional build. We're going to doghouse the firewall, completely redo the core support, because right now in the black truck, we just kind of modified the core support to be removable with that intercooler setup. When it's time to do the core support for this new build, it's going to be all new. Probably going to use like a 2nd gen Dodge radiator and 2nd gen Dodge intercooler, just for ease of finding parts. And then this truck will have AC and the whole 9 yards. So, which I've been slowly, like I say, I've been piling up parts. I've got AC system out of a 71 Travelall, because we're going to stick with the original style AC setup. It'll just have a modern compressor and updated components. So yeah, that's the plan for that. Super Duty axles, because the way the Allisons work, it's really hard to adapt. I shouldn't say really hard, but it's a pain in the ass to adapt a transfer case to the Allison that is a passenger drop. So rather than fight with that whole thing, I'm just going to run Super Duties with the driver drop front housing. So then we can just run the stock Duramax transfer case, the old 272 or whatever it is. That way we'll get an Allison from a 07 Duramax. We'll change the bell housing to the SAE number 2 and run all that just like we did in the black truck. But then I can still keep the speed sensor in the transfer case, so we'll be able to differentiate between high and low and not freak out like so many of these conversions you see. They don't like being run in low range because it throws off their speed count, and then you get an error code, whatever. So we'll be able to run the GM transfer case with the Allison and all that, and the standalone controller. It should all be able to work together, just like it does in the black truck. And so I'm really excited for that build. It's going to be a long, tedious one because my personal stuff takes forever to do. Case in point, the green 56 that we're building, I really wanted it done by now, and we still haven't even swung the new motor into it. So yeah, it's going to be like that, like always. But anyway, so that trip was good. Made a run to California, hauled some parts, went to Sierra Fall Rally. I was only there for a day because I had a funeral to go to, and so I needed to be back for that. The Fall Rally is always good turnout, good crowd. They have it in the trees there. It's nice atmosphere. It's just it's a good show. Jeff and the crew at IH Parts America put on a great show. I always see lots of friends there, lots of people. Always something new and different shows up. It's kind of neat. This year there was a gang of Metros. That was super cool. I always enjoy seeing that stuff. Yeah, so it was just fun. Got my in and out. Yes, I know I'm on a diet, but you gotta give yourself a little bit of leeway for cheats and whatnot. And my cheat for the month was the old in and out. So that's always a California staple for me. It's, you can't go to California without going to In-N-Out. And no, this is not a paid promotion. This is just my own feelings. So, yes, next time you're in California, get yourself some In-N-Out. And I know they have In-N-Outs in Nevada and Arizona and a few other places too. But when I go to California, it's the In-N-Out. Um, yeah, so projects in the shop this last month, we were getting Nate's Scout 80 wrapped up. That was a big labor intensive 80. It came in originally for just like kind of a refresh, go through the axles, brakes, get the motor running good, so suspension update. And once we got it up here, I realized that the frame had been badly damaged and modified. It was not, it wasn't viable in my opinion. Didn't make any sense to try and make that system work because it was so bad. The frame, there was like this homemade lift blocks were welded in and a bunch of stuff like that. So we did away with all that. I had another frame. So we put a different Scout 80 frame under it. I modified it ahead of time for power steering, and all of the body mounts and stuff got gusseted and everything got fixed. And then, so we did a body swap, put Nate's body onto this chassis. And then it got, the CPT 3-inch lift kit with the Bilsteins. Our fuel tank went into it, our aluminum tank. Got the power steering bracket on there, running the Ford power steering box. Just a bunch of updates, a lot of stuff. His budget was one number, and I ended up putting way more into it just to make it right. That's what happens. I usually lose money on every build because I end up doing a lot of stuff that is not maybe on the to-do list, but my conscience won't let it go out the door that way. So ended up fixing some stuff that, needed to get fixed regardless of whether he could afford it or not, because I wanted him to get back a good quality truck. So we're almost done with it. A few details I'm buttoning up now, and we'll should have it done here shortly. What else? We've got an 800. We're doing a motor swap on and a bunch of other cleanup. If you followed on Instagram, you saw I posted a lot of pictures of some really terrible brake and suspension stuff. Another shop that was not Scout oriented. They claimed to be an old car shop, but they really butchered some stuff, like big time. So we had this 800 that I had the guys swap a motor, rebuilt motor, fresh trans, rebuilt case, and then the same thing. Go through the axles, disc brake conversion, just getting everything together. And so that's a good one that they have been working on. Almost done with that one. And then another 800 that's also in the we've worked on a few times. It just comes in for another round of things, and we do $5,000 worth on it, and then it goes out the door again. And so that guy we're buttoning up also with a motor swap, transmission reseal, a few things like that. While that's been going on, I was knocking out some wiring on the big the Shins, their Traveler build, their Overland, kind of, I don't want to say spare no expense, but definitely a bougie build with a lot of high-end parts. I've been working on wiring. Wiring is so tedious on this stuff when there's so many accessories and other systems with heated seats and all the lights, and just it ends up taking a lot of time. And this was one that Steve had started, and now I'm trying to finish it. So I'm also going through the what the crap stage, where's this going, or Steve did all right labeling things for me, but there's still some stuff where I'm kind of trying to reverse engineer it to figure out what he was doing. Got several axle builds, doing some custom heavy duty stuff for a guy in California I've been doing that in between everything else or the weekends. I've got another batch of seat bases headed to the website. Got medicine cabinets, both 8800 and Scout 2 med cabs coming out. The radiator brackets for C series are back in stock. Those are the ones where you can put a Scout 2 aluminum radiator into a C series truck or travelall, 61 to 68 truck or travelette. You can put an aluminum Scout 2 radiator in. It is slightly smaller than the factory C series radiator, but the fact that you can get a 3-core aluminum, that definitely offsets the size difference of the original one. The tricky part is you got to modify your shroud. There's some, if you want to run a shroud, there's definitely some custom fab that has to happen in there. So yeah, I would I'd recommend that for anybody that's looking for an upgrade, because you can't buy C series radiators. So yeah, those brackets are back in stock. Power brake kits are back in stock. Again, another C series part. This stuff, it's not like our laser cutter makes it and then we just put it up for sale. Like, there's prep that has to happen. I have to weld, we drill and tap some things. Like, there's other processes that happen after that. So even though they get cut out, we still have to work them up here. So I do the QC on them too. Like, most of the time this stuff comes out perfect. It comes out of the laser cutter in the fab shop, and it's done, and it's nice, and I don't have to do much other than our, like I say, drilling and tapping or whatever. But it's still nice to QC stuff to make sure holes are in the right spot, make sure there's no weird rough edges, make sure everything functions like it's supposed to, because we're trying to deliver the best possible product. So yeah, and met with some engineers for some new products that we're working on. Probably won't have them in time for Christmas, but definitely some things coming to the market that are innovative, and people have been asking for a long time, and the vendors, kind of shrug them off. It's really funny. I've talked to vendors over the years, long before I got into this, and I say, hey, why doesn't somebody make this? Or why isn't this a product? Or have you ever thought about doing this? And it's always, it costs a lot of money, and I get it. Like, I hear it all the time from people that are like, hey, why don't you make a widget that does this? And it's like, because I don't think that's an item that'll sell, and it costs a lot to R&D it. But me being in the industry and actually being on both sides of the fence, I kind of know what the demand is, and I know what would sell. And like, we don't need any more bumpers. Everybody and their brother's making bumpers. We don't need any more lift kits. Everybody and their brother's making lift kits. But people are settling for the TSM disc brake kit when there's better ways to go. People are settling for off-the-shelf consoles when there are better ways to go. So you're going to start seeing some products coming out from us, end of this year, first part of next year, that are specific to our vehicles, that have features that our vehicles need, and are going to be competitively priced with the generic things that people are installing now. So I can't wait to come out with that. That's going to be fun. I also have some neat ideas for more storage, more lockable things, glove box inserts that are more secure. They're not cardboard, that kind of thing. So yeah, those are on the horizon. Yeah, just neat things. So I'm stoked for that. I like to continue to further the market, further the brand. The more stuff that's out there that makes them functional and usable and more daily drivable, That's all a win for everyone. Just like, these Holley snipers have really been proving themselves as reliable daily driver systems. And my work, being part of the Holley family and developing things with them has been great. Their new standalone trans controller for the 4L60, that's super awesome. So you're probably going to start seeing those popping up into some of the builds. But anyway, to build an international that can be daily driven year round, except maybe salt season for you guys in the Midwest, is really just a game changer, and not have to swap in an LS to do it. Your 345 runs good, change ignition, change the injection system, add a few doodads here and there, re-gear it, and now you've got a daily driver that's capable and is not, a $40,000 LS conversion. So that's the kind of the market that we've been eyeballing and working towards. These drivability, like the anything Scout, they call them drivability conversions. I don't know of another term that works for that, but that's the same thing. We're talking about drivability, but like on a C series, where we swap to power brakes and maybe disc brake, GM axle, and power steering, our aluminum tank, and a sniper. That's it. Like that's a driver. Drive that truck across the country. Like that's, those are the kinds of things that you do those updates and they become such a better truck. So that's what we're working on. You're going to start seeing more of those. We're actually going to have some of our own builds for sale. I'm hoping early part of next year. I've got some trucks in the works that we're going to throw some parts at and turn over. So, I may have missed the window on the whole builder truck sale market, because I do see that it's kind of cooling off a little bit, but that's all right. I'm happy to just put good quality trucks out into the world. So anyway, it looks like I'm coming up on my time here. So I appreciate you guys. Thanks for following along. Thanks for listening. Appreciate all of it. Next week we'll be back on the technical stuff, and we'll get her back on track. So I appreciate you guys. I love you very much. Thank you for all the support, and until next time, I'm Dan from Binder Boneyard.